That's another thing that most people don't know about. The Titanic, by the way, it didn't just have silver eatingware. A lot of people say, that's my Titanic spoon, that's silver. And yeah, the Titanic did have silver spoons, but it also had gold silverware. And I think it might have even had some gold plates. Back then I had, for the top staff, I believe I had gold and silver plates. I also had the fine china. I think on the Titanic you could have your choice of to eat on gold or silver or the china dishes. Although a lot of people use the china dishes because they were cheaper, I believe. The Chinese dishes were cheaper, I think, than the gold or silver plates. I'm not exactly, I forget exactly, but there is an order to it. You could have gold silverware or silverware, or what's called. I think you could also pick maybe at the beginning or when you go to eat. I think you also ask, oh yeah, I want the silverware, or yeah, I want the goldware, or I want the the Chinese or the porcelainware, which is basically which was basically the the what's it called, and the dishes were colored. I think they had dishes with gold little outline or whatever, and they also had the silver ones, like silver edged plates. I don't know. On the Titanic I did some things which were like next level, basically, which were like, oh my god, this is gonna be, it was like, oh, like it was like, yeah, it was like people were like, everything was hand done. They would say that about the Titanic too. Everything was hand done. There was nothing really, almost nothing with the Titanic was manufactured. Like everything was by hand, built with love. On some of the things too, it'd say built with love, or whatever. That was also a lot of things with Russia and China. It's like everything was built with the exact perfect care. Like everything was basically done perfectly right, and people were highly paid to do it. And, you know, I had thousands of people. I had like 5 million people working on one ship, the Titanic, basically. And it was a ridiculous effort. And, but there was goldware and silverware. And the silverware, I mean, the goldware never turned up. It just went poof, gone. And I don't really know the difference between, because silver and gold, actually iron was actually worth more than silver or gold back then. I mean, iron back then, stabilized iron, they would call it stable iron or something like that. Like I got your stable iron here, which is basically steel or iron that wouldn't rust or wouldn't degrade, because iron, you get it and they're just like flake apart, you know, back in those days. That's another thing that a lot of people don't understand about the Titanic era or before, is that you get a piece of iron, like if you just got if this was made of iron or whatever, it would just flake apart within like 3 or 4 months, or sometimes even days or like hours or whatever. It would just, iron had this nasty tendency to just kind of like, would just turn into these flakes, and then, you know, it's basically rusting or degrading pretty much. It would oxidize with the air. So we had to find a way to stabilize that, and that was a mix of other minerals as well. Real steel, as they say, and that's another thing that's another term that they would use, is real steel. I got your real steel here, you know, which is basically like a mixture of different rocks. It's stabilized iron. You know, stable iron and real steel were about the same, basically. Just a couple of degrade differences in metallurgies. It could mean a lot of different things though, but pretty much it was steel that wouldn't just fall apart. You know, like yeah, that iron's been there for, and they would put one on a shelf too. It's like iron that's been stabilized for 3 or 4 days or 5 years or whatever. You know, because it would begin to start to flake apart basically, as you know, iron wouldn't really last more than like 10 years before it would start to like degrade or rust or come apart basically. And keeping it from rusting, because it would rust from the inside out. That's another thing that most people don't understand. You'd have to keep oiling it like crazy because it would rust from the inside out. And getting that stabilized was a bit tricky, as they say. And before we could get like this, which is actually like, this is stainless steel. So, but it's basically, I think it's like iron and some other stuff. It's a mixture of different rocks or whatever that basically make this up. yeah, metallurgists know way more. Like I said, I don't really know. I paid people to know for me basically because, well, I mean, I was on vacation kind of, so I just paid people, because I am like the creator of 800 Galaxies, so, and I was just on vacation and just kind of like messing around, so, you know, and so yeah, I wasn't really like trying to be rich. I just happened to be rich. I started out rich or something, or whatever. I'm like, whatever. Yeah, and right now, and then some people are like, no, you're not. And it's like, yes, I am, but whatever. I'm like, I don't really care. How do you think I named America? And other people are like, no, you're not. No, you didn't. It's like, oh, whatever.